The food I grew up eating, I remember, was always intensely flavorful. Mostly prepared by my mom and my grandmom, who both taught me how to cook. I remember a lot of the time when my mom needed to throw flavor at savory dishes that had a tomato sauce or a tomato base, or those that didn't even have a tomato base, such as the spinach dip or abumu, even jollof rice. Her secret was canned mackerel and tomato sauce. Friends, today I bring you the homemade, fresh, beautiful version. Greetings, blessings, much love to you all, and let's begin. So you need some Roma tomatoes, and I separate the seeds and the juice from the flesh. We also need one green bell pepper, one large red bell pepper. We also need some scallions or green spring onions, some shallots, ginger, and we also need 3 cloves of garlic. We're going to include some heats by adding 1 habanero chili. Now I'm going to be adding these peppers which mimic the flavor of petite bell chilies. We call them paposhito in Ghana. Now I do remove the seeds from these because they tend to be bitter. And for the herbs, I've chosen to use fresh rosemary, but you may use the dry. And also we're going to include 4 small bay leaves. That's it. All of these ingredients are very aromatic and they're going to bring amazing flavors. So the seeds, the juice, and the flesh within the Roma tomatoes I separated, I'm going to crush them, forcing just the juice through this colander turned into a strainer in this instance. And all we are left with is the juice, so I discard only the seeds. Beautiful. Now let's work on the mackerel. I picked this up from the fishmonger as usual, and they have complimentarily cleaned it for me already, so it's been gutted. And since there are no scales on the fish, all I do is wash them again and cut them into steaks, whose width are about 1.5 inches thick. And to the fish, I add some onion powder, crushed black pepper, some garlic powder, some salt to taste, and you do need to season it well at this stage. Now I'm also going to be adding some Worcestershire sauce. I think I didn't butcher the name this time. If you agreed, please drop a comment. I have always had a hard time with that one. Now I'm drizzling some olive oil onto this because it is a marinade after all, as I usually say. And make sure you stir everything together. Now with the Worcestershire sauce, you can always substitute that with your maggi sauce. That'll work great, or even soy sauce. Now I'm bringing some citrus flavor here because that freshens everything. So I'm using the zest of 1 lime, and you can use lemon if that's what you have. And if you have the herb thyme, you may use that because that also offers citrus notes. You do need your citrus notes to freshen and lighten the flavors because mackerel is extremely flavorful due to the high fat content. It is rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are heart healthy, very important for your heart health. So we start with olive oil in the pan, and then I add the onions, the scallions, and the shallots. And what I'm doing is just slightly caramelizing them because caramelization, as I always say, is equal to loads of flavor. Take those out and then caramelize your onions also. Just slightly caramelize them because we want to optimize all the flavors here. All these ingredients are fresh, so we want to kick it up quite a notch with caramelization. That's the technique we're using today. Now, after the onions and the peppers, I add my ginger, the garlic, the rosemary, and also my white peppercorns into the hot oil and cook it for just about 20 seconds until they start blooming, until I start smelling them. Then I go in with the flesh of the tomatoes. And I'm going to cook this down on gentle heat up until the tomatoes start tenderizing and up until I start seeing some of the juice from the tomatoes separating from the flesh. And there is exactly what I'm talking about. So you see that the skin of the tomato has become tender. It's almost detaching itself from the flesh. That's exactly what you want, and that shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. Done. Take that off of the heat and let it cool down. And then proceed by blending all of your cooked ingredients. The onions, the peppers, as well as the tomatoes, including the oil you cooked it in, and all of the juices into the blender. And the goal is to blend these ingredients till you arrive at a silky, velvety, smooth texture. If your blender is not powerful enough to do so, then you must strain, unless you don't mind that texture. Now, pour the tomato juice into the pan with the blended ingredients and add your bay leaves. Stir to combine evenly and cook on low heat for the next 15 minutes with the lid on. Now, before the lid goes on, you must clean the size of your pot if that's applicable to you, because that's just going to dry up and become a waste. And throw the lid on. The lid must be on completely so that it can come to a boil sooner. Just like so. And that took about 15 minutes. Now you want to go and remove the lid and create a vent in order for some of the steam to find a route to escape, so that the sauce can start reducing. Just like so. So in about 30 minutes after venting the lid, you should find some of the oil resurfacing on the top. Go back and stir it and then season. You taste first and then you season after that. We haven't added any seasoning at all to our sauce. So add your salt or your seasoning of preference to taste, and then remove the bay leaf because they are done with infusing their flavor. Thank you very much, Miss or Mr. Bay Leaf. I think it's Mr. Bay Leaf. Now we're going to add some paprika. Now this is regular paprika. It is not smoked. We need a tablespoonful of it. So paprika is really dehydrated red bell peppers that are turned into powder. Now we did add red bell peppers to start with. Those were fresh. We need that seasoned taste, that seasoned sweet taste. And you get that when you dehydrate your ingredients, the flavors become more intensified. And that's what you get from adding the smoked paprika. It also helps with the color. I have added some more of the Worcestershire sauce because we only added it to the fish in the beginning. The sauce needs some of that. And if you have your Maggi sauce, please add it then. All right. And keep that in mind when you're adding your salt, because that has salt in it. All right. So now it's time to introduce the fish to the sauce. And the sauce is tasting amazing. Way better than the canned. And when you give this recipe a shot, make sure it is a huge batch, because this recipe is not going to fail you, friends. It is tried and true. Those fresh ingredients are everything. Yes, make sure you pour the juices from the fish into the pot as well, and then submerge all the fish pieces and cover it completely with a lid. No venting, still on low heat. You're going to cook for the next 30 minutes. During those 30 minutes, the fish will become poached. So we are essentially poaching the fish in this flavorful sauce. During that time too, there will be that exchange, very important exchange of flavors from the sauce into the fish and from the fish into the sauce. And it's all going to become unified. It's going to become one amazing, lovely, tasty dish. The fish holds itself together. That's one thing I love about mackerel. And see how smooth the sauce is, and a little bit of the oil has also formed on the top. So after 30 minutes of poaching, you're going to remove the lid and let it continue to simmer down for 10 more minutes on low heat, and you're done. That's all it took, friends. And just look at this beautiful mackerel in tomato sauce. Friends, this was so good. Mackerel is one flavorful fish. I love mackerel. So besides grilling it, besides frying it, this is another approach, another rendering of this amazingly delicious fish. Give this a shot. Like I said, make it in a huge batch. If you make it in a small batch, you will regret it. The best way to store these is by canning them in a mason jar, and that is another video all on its own. Canning is another story altogether, and we can tackle that on another day. But on this day, what I did was I pour them or portion them into these glass containers with airtight lids, and they get stored in the refrigerator and freezer. Now, a few ways to use your mackerel in tomato sauce is to just add it to some jollof rice. So I've made my jollof stew already, and I have added some of my mackerel in tomato sauce into it. So on this occasion, what we're using the mackerel and tomato sauce for is as a seasoning to bring more flavor to the jollof rice. Believe me, it makes the jollof rice so tasty. It gives it a special touch, a touch of class. So add your rice to it, stir it, and cook your jollof rice as you normally would, and you will be serving an amazingly tasty jollof rice that your guests and your family, your friends will always remember. They will be wondering what the heck you threw in there that made it so good and so special. So this is just one out of the million ways you can use your mackerel in tomato sauce. It is amazing. Now, another way is to add it to your abomu or your dips. So I have this spinach dip, which we call it abomu, kontomire abomu in Ghana. So on this occasion, it is not only bringing flavor, but also extra protein. There are 1,000,001 ways to use this mackerel in tomato sauce, and hopefully we can bring you more videos to show you. Now let's take a look at the texture of the fish itself and see how velvety, silky, smooth the sauce is. The sauce is, I mean, you can drink it. It's so good. And the bone of mackerel is naturally very soft. And when cooked on low heat for a prolonged period of time, it becomes even softer to where it is fork tender. Now look at the fish. Mackerel is so delicious. Anyhow, I love it grilled, I love it fried, I love it roasted, and in this mackerel sauce, it might just end up being your favorite. Thank you so much, friends, for watching. I hope you did learn a thing or two and are inspired to try the recipe. Please give me a thumbs up to help push this video far. Make it a great day and have fun, especially in that kitchen. Thank you, beautiful person, for watching the video all the way to the end. Kindly leave me a comment and subscribe down below, and don't forget to share the video as well. Also, watch more videos. It is chop time, and here in Anaba's kitchen, chop time is always yes, friends. So pull up a chair. We are all friends and family here.